Hi, my name is MachineRite, and this is Understanding Fortnite. So what you're looking at right now is the new Game Sense practice map. If you're unfamiliar of what that is, and how a map can teach you game sense, basically it's a bunch of different drills that you can practice that teach you a bunch of different advantages you can use in lots of different situations, and it allows you to practice setting up those advantages over and over again so that you can eventually build it into your implicit memory. And basically all implicit memory is, it's the subconscious skills that you don't have to think about. So the example that I like to use is walking. You don't have to think about walking anymore. It should be all automatic. So instead of having a bunch of teleporters and guns everywhere like the last map, I've set everything to be activated by triggers just by shooting them. So if you want a purple pump, you can shoot it and you get a purple pump. And then if you want a blue AR, you can shoot it and get a blue AR. And I've also mentioned in my other videos that I always like to have a full inventory because I like to practice cycling my binds in between the drills just to make sure that my hand is sitting in a comfortable spot to where I can access all of my binds. So I just have a feature here. Make sure that you're holding the pistol in your hand when you shoot this, because that's kind of the gun that you don't want. And you just shoot the fill inventory and it gets rid of the pistol and fills your inventory with just other stuff. So one thing I want to mention right now is there is a glitch with the targets right now. It's something to do with the targets rendering in when you spawn. For some reason, some of the targets just don't render in. You can still see the track and you can still hear them, but the targets will be invisible. So to fix this, you shoot this, and that's going to teleport you way out of render distance, and then you get teleported back, and it's going to force all the targets to render again. So what you can actually do here is you can go and start your playlist, which is basically going to start from drill 1. Once you're in a drill, you can actually go and select next drill or previous drill. This is going to save you a lot of time compared to the older map. As soon as you're done your drill, you can just go and shoot this, and then you can go to your next drill, and it's very fast. And one thing I also took into consideration is using the least amount of memory as possible and getting the best FPS possible. So this map should have almost perfect FPS even on console. So in this map I really wanted to focus on having good FPS on all platforms and on all PCs. And since most of these drills are going to be peaks, I kind of just want to quickly go over the main advantage of a peak. So the main purpose of a peak is to get that action versus reaction advantage. Basically, if you're peeking, you're going to be inputting an action that you have total control and timing over, and your opponent is going to have to react to that. They're going to have to wait for your exposed player to show up on their screen and then shoot, where you don't have to do that. You already have time to prepare, and you can time that shot beforehand. Next advantage that peaks give you that I want to quickly go over is something that I call swap delay. Every time you confirm an edit, you're going to notice that your crosshair goes gray. Basically, when your crosshair is gray, that you can't shoot. So if you open this against somebody, and let's say they're holding a charge shotgun and just waiting for you, they're going to be able to shoot first no matter what. Just because of that in-game delay, human reaction time or timing or whether you're prepared for it does not really matter. You're going to have that slight in-game disadvantage just from that weapon swap delay. So peaks get around that by making sure that you're totally covered during this weapon swap delay period. By the time you're exposing yourself for the peak, the edit's already done and you're already ready to shoot. Another thing with peaks is people are getting really good at recognizing certain edits. So like Windows, for example, people are going to hold crosshair placement because they know that's when you're going to show up. And that makes it more likely for them to land some damage back while you're peeking. Doesn't matter how fast you are, if they're quick enough to shoot, they're going to trade that damage back. So the way to get around this is to actually make sure that you're only opening the edit right before you peek. So if you open this edit, you don't want to hold this open for a while because that's just going to give them time to prepare. If you open this and leave it open for a long time, they're going to run away and you're going to miss that opportunity. So you want to open it up and make sure that you're peeking right away. So you're basically forcing them to do an extra reaction to your peek. Okay, so this is drill 1. This is sort of recognizable. This is your standard low ground jump peek from the wall, where you jump back like this. Because of the methods that I've used to build this map, you have to place a wall here first, and then you can place your cone floors, and practice your double edits into jump peeks. Okay, then you're going to want to switch over to position 2. In this position, you can do this peek. You could also do this peek on the first position, but I prefer to just do it now. It's basically the same peek, just moved back a bit. Okay, position 3. Basically just repeat the same peek, connecting 1 to the stair down here. The only difference this time is because the target is further up, you're going to have to change the position that you jump from. So if you jump up here, you're going to be exposing a lot of yourself and you're not going to get a good angle on the target. So you jump further down, and that's going to allow you to see way more when you actually jump. And then you come back here and do the same peek. And now that you're a wall lower, you don't even have to edit. You can just do a peek like this where you just jump straight back and you can get shots off. And position 4, you're going to be doing pretty much the exact same thing. Once you've gone through those positions, you can go on to drill 5. I've kind of combined 2 positions into one. So the peaks that you want to perform in this is the top corner edit like this. There's a couple ways you can do it, and I want to also explain some of the movement behind this. If you want to edit it from here and peak from here, you do not want to jump from the center. You want to jump sideways. And this is just so you're exposing the least of your character as possible and giving yourself the best chance of not taking a shot back. So if you're in the middle here, just remember, jump sideways. If you're in the corner here already, that's perfect. You don't have to jump sideways at all, really. Just a little bit after you jump, because you can kind of steer yourself out just at the peak of your jump. So that would just look like this. You can see that I'm jumping up straight, but just steering out of the way at the last second. Now things change a bit when you're standing on a cone. If you want to stand right here and get this peak, and you have no roof above you, that's going to be annoying because you're going to constantly be losing your target, and it takes a lot of timing to land that. So a better way to do this is to actually jump back a little bit. And you're going to see your target a little bit better, especially when he's in the back corner like that, and you defend yourself just as well. All you're doing when you're going back is you're effectively jumping from back here without actually jumping from back there, because if you jump from back here, you're going to be jumping way higher because you're standing on top of the cone. So you want to jump from the lowest point of the cone, but also be like back here in this position. So you just want to jump back as you do it. And then if there's a floor above you, you don't have to do any of that because you're going to get bounced down. The next edits are your simple window edits. The way that I do these is I hug the wall so I can get as much vision as possible. I diagonal walk out just a little bit. You barely have to move, just like that, and you're already in vision. And if you want to aim in a little bit, you're going to have to walk out a bit more. To unpeak, I diagonal walk using my W and A, and you want to utilize that forward momentum to get back behind cover. And this same technique applies to all right-hand peaks. Okay, so after the windows, you have this peak. And you can also do that same peak over here. Then you have this peak, which is a little bit more situational. This peak allows you to have a lot more vision, but you have to have this wall here. You want to be sitting right here, and you're basically jumping and strafing out of the way. Basically, you want to be shooting right around this area here, similar to wanting to be right around here with the peak of your jump. With this edit, you want to be shooting right around here. I also want to talk about another use for this peak because trios are becoming a thing. There's a strategy that I like to call team peaking. In trios, or basically any team mode, you can have a similar advantage through communication. So rather than using movement to gain your action versus reaction advantage, you can actually have your teammate sit right here and hold this edit open. Basically, you're going to be sitting right here just holding your gun out and holding the target on the other side. And your teammate is going to open this up, and he's going to make sure to calm when he's going to open that up, usually with a 3, 2, 1 countdown or something like that. And then as soon as this opens up, you're going to shoot instantly, and you should be prepared to shoot instantly just from your teammate communicating that to you. And this is the perfect edit to do when you're doing a team peak because 2 people can be sitting up on top of this cone and take instant shots. The person opening the edit has cover while he's doing that, so he's not going to be out in the open pulling out his gun at a swap delay disadvantage. And the main issue I see with these team peaks is somebody gets fried or someone gets lasered during it and they reset the edit and nobody else can shoot. The beauty to this, if someone's getting shot at and getting fried, they can just crouch behind cover and it's no problem. The person that's opening the edit is going to want to stand here and use this cone as their peak. Okay, next drill. The next drill is basically just your ramp peaks, a lot of diagonal ramp peaks and positions. The main thing that you want to remember when you're peeking boxes that are diagonal from you is your close side versus far side advantage. I have a whole video about this, but I'm just going to quickly summarize it. The person closest to the center point of the 4 boxes is going to have an advantage with the top corner edit. If you were over there using this top corner edit, the person here can actually see you behind there. So you just gotta remember that if you're over here, this is not a good position to be in. And the main way to not be in this situation is to actually just edit a ramp like this. And then this avoids the whole far side disadvantage. So there's 2 different patterns you can do in this drill. The first one is this one, where you're just editing the right peaks. The second drill is a bit more complicated. So you're gonna start on your ramp like this, you're gonna reverse it like this. Then you're going to edit the wall like this. And this gives you a jump peak that can hit a very far diagonal target. If you're far forward, you're going to want to basically run and jump backwards as you're shooting just so that you're not jumping straight up here and exposing yourself. You want to use this line of the ramp as cover. And then next drill, we're going to go from that we're going to basically mirror this on the other side and edit it like this and go into our top corner edit and then run forward here and get a jump peak on the target facing forward. So this peak we're going diagonal, then this peak we're going right in front of us. And then from there we're going to switch this ramp to be facing like this. Then we're going to select the wall and then edit the top corner from behind here to do this far side disadvantage kind of counter edit. And that's going to be to shoot the diagonal target that's strafing in between the corner of these two walls. And then from there we're going to leave this ramp where it is. We're going to edit the wall like this and then open this edit again from back here. Then we're going to reset this wall, and from here we're going to go and mirror this again. And then from here we're going to go into the top corner edit and then shoot at the target right in front of us. And then from here we're going to go and edit this ramp like this. And then we're going to edit the wall like this. And this is to hit the diagonal target over here. Order, and you're going to want to do that drill in the order that it just showed you, and reverse. So in reverse it's going to look like this. You don't really have to worry too much about hitting the targets if you're just learning these peaks. The main thing is just keeping your peaks tight, exposing the least amount of your character as possible, and just really focusing on the movement and the edits. And then later on you can focus on the accuracy with these peaks. And especially if you're on controller, these targets do not have aim assist. So don't worry if you're not hitting these targets, because these are just basically a simulation of where a person may stand, just so you can put your crosshair in the general location. But don't actually worry about hitting the target. They are just there as a stand-in, especially if you're on controller. And then I'm just going to do this quickly in the forward direction. Okay, next drill. This time I wanted to put all of the even ground drills in order, regardless if they are peaks or other techniques. So this is our spray punish drill. Basically all you're going to want to do is hold the wall here. When the target destroys the wall, just shoot through it and then replace. The main thing with that pattern is just masking your movement and making it unpredictable, making sure you're keeping head level crosshair placement, and also just shooting and replacing the wall as quickly as possible. Okay, next drill. This next drill is your long range spray punish. And for this drill, you have to shoot start drill, and that's going to spawn a target in a random location. Make sure that you have a box built before you spawn the target so that you don't get shot at like I just did. Okay, so once you have your walls out here, you're just going to want to sit here. And then once the wall is destroyed, take a shot and then replace with the wall. Now, if you shoot this again, you can actually get a second target to spawn if you want this to be more challenging. And you can actually shoot this a bunch of times until you get all 4 targets to spawn if you really want to. Every time you destroy a target, it's going to respawn in a random location as well. It's not going to respawn at the same thing. Okay, next drill. So remember that I mentioned that you should destroy all your builds, and that's because a lot of these drills reuse the same targets. So if that's here, that's not because I placed it, that's because you placed it. So this drill is your close range high ground peaks. The drill that I like to do here is you get a ramp floor down and you do this edit. And this edit is a right peak here. So if it's close in, you do a right peak, and if it's far away, you do a jump peak. The jump peak exposes a little bit more of yourself, but because of the angle that they're getting, they're not going to see you all the way jumping like this. Someone that's standing totally horizontal to you would obviously see you a lot, but because of the downwards angle, they don't actually see you a whole lot here, especially if you're strafing out of the way like this as you do it. And then combine that with resetting at the same time, it's very hard to punish someone for this peak. Next peak you can do is you edit this, and then you edit the floor once, and then you have a jump peak that you can do here against the target right against the wall. And the way that I do the movement in this is I crouch, and I don't double tap to jump. I think it's a little bit slow. You can actually press crouch and then space right after. You almost want to be pressing these at the same time as pressing crouch just a little bit sooner, and you can almost skip the whole crouch animation. You're basically just jumping right away. One thing I want to mention is you don't want to be up against the railing because sometimes you get this weird camera angle like this. I don't know why it does this. So yeah, just be further away and you're not going to have that. And you also want to kind of look diagonal and you're actually going to get a better angle to shoot this target. If you're looking straight forward, you have a higher chance of hitting your floor here. Next drill is your long range crouch peeks. This is probably the most underrated drill. And in the past, I've shown the movement that you want to do here, which is just you go forward, uncrouch, you shoot, and then you go backwards and crouch at the same time. So and I like to strafe while I'm doing this, just so that my position every time I pop up is unpredictable, and it's harder for someone to punish this if I do this a couple times in a row. So I have targets back here, and then I have a target in front. And basically what you want to do here is you want to practice exposing yourself the least amount possible. Basically just being as minimalistic as possible with the amount that you expose yourself. And then you want to practice quickly being able to change that position and estimate that position. So look at this target right in front of you. So just find the place where you can shoot at this target without this red X showing up. And then you can just peek from here. And then you switch up your targets, get in that perfect position again, make sure that you're in that perfect position. And eventually you just want this to be muscle memory. You don't want to have to set up like this every time. Basically you just want to find that perfect point where you're exposing yourself the least amount possible. Okay, next drill. So just to save FPS, I've reused a bunch of the targets, but the only target that you're going to be shooting at in this drill is this one that's facing upwards. So you're going to want to build a ramp like this and maybe a floor below you, just in case you shoot at your ramp and fall. Then you're going to sit here and look out diagonally, and you're going to be uncrouching, walking out and shooting, and then crouching back in. And you can drop down lower if you want. Practice the same thing. And as you drop lower, the target's going to appear to move further out. And also when you drop lower, you can actually start shooting at these targets again. And then I've angled the screen so that you can go to your next drill no matter where you are. Okay, so this is the last drill. This is something that I added later in my previous peak map. Basically, there's a target here just in the middle of the floor in a big room. And what you're going to be doing here is you're going to be tarping over it as if you were tarping over somebody end game, maybe in like a 1v1 situation. And there's actually a nice little spray punish thing that you can do to someone trying to shoot you out. So you can go out here using cones or cones floors, whatever you want. But basically, as he's about to shoot this out, you're going to want to jump and then spray punish. And you're going to be jumping fairly early because if you jump late, there's a chance that you're going to jump at the same time as the build is being destroyed. And for some reason that bugs out the server. And you actually this kind of glitch that teleports you down to the ground. I'm going to see if I can kind of replicate that. So that was the last drill. This is probably the most work that I've put into any map. I tried to make it a little bit more aesthetic, make sure that the performance was much better. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this video. Thanks guys.